Welcome to our spooky episode of Blanket Fort Books. Did that just break everyone's speakers?
The vocal recording was just a solid rectangle.
I need to just spread the spook. So, my name is Rachel.
My name is Whitney.
And I'm Gabe.
So we're here to talk about spooky things.
Happy Halloween.
Halloween.
So we're drinking milkshakes and we're all on a sugar high.
I think this is we're not going trick-or-treating, so we trick-or-treated ourselves.
It's true. So this episode, we are going to be discussing a book that we all mostly read. Looking at you, Rachel.
I didn't finish the book, okay, but a solid 70% effort went in there.
That's fine. Which is Saturday Night Ghost Club by Craig Davidson. And each of us all individually watched a spooky movie that we're going to discuss too, and none of us know what the other watched. So
I love that.
Can't wait for that part. But for now, let's discuss what everyone has been enjoying lately. Gabriel?
I will start. I have something that will throw you for a loop. You know what's really awesome that I like lately?
What?
Making curry.
Oh,
really?
that's not a media.
Yeah. I know it's not a media, but it's the only thing I could think of that I've really just had a breakthrough about.
No, I love that. Please speak more. What kind of curry?
So you get some red curry paste, but then you also just get some peppers and you get some onions and you get some, I guess some mushrooms if you want, or meat if you want. I don't put meat in it. You just put that in a pan, coat it in curry paste, stir fry that, add a bunch of coconut milk, add some kale or some bok choy if you want, and then you have an amazing curry. And I make a bunch of it all at once, and it lasts forever. And then you just have rice. Yeah,
amazing.
That's all I got to say.
That sounds delicious.
Can I have some right now?
No, I don't have any made at the moment.
Okay.
I actually have a really spicy soup you could try.
Ooh, how keen.
It has pork in it, though.
Oh, I eat pork.
Okay. Some people don't.
Some people do not. My thing I've been into is not new. It's Forensic Files.
Yes.
I love Forensic Files, and I usually watch at least 12 episodes at a time, and I fall asleep to it, and I normally wake up at about 4 a.m. and go, oh, it's still on.
I love his soothing voice.
It is so soothing, but I haven't even taken the time to watch the new ones. I don't want to give up on my narrator voice.
Oh yeah. That's a big change.
It is, but I just love it, and I feel like eventually after one episode, really, it's not eventually at all, I'm just critiquing everyone's miserable fails and their attempts in crime.
We love crime.
Mm-hmm.
Whitney, what about you?
So I want to talk about a book that I just finished, and it is Bunny by Mona Awad. It's probably the weirdest book I've ever read. And I after I finished it, I can't tell if I liked it or hated it, but I think I liked it. It's a dark academia book about 4 rich girls who all call each other Bunny, and they're in this weird cult, and the protagonist gets invited to one of their parties, and they do weird things, and they tell sex stories and make the protagonist, her name's Samantha, they make her make up weird stories so they can just stare at her, and then the whole point of the book is they're turning rabbits into men.
What?
Yeah, they're doing weird magic to make bunnies explode, and then a boy that they made knocks on their door, and then he comes in, and then they keep trying to make one that has a functioning penis because they can't.
Is this the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Kind
That's
of.
what that sounds like to me.
That is a wild
It's
time.
very weird. It's very weird. A boy just knocks on the door and then he's like obsessed with them. But if you ask them to like tell you anything about themselves, they explode. And the main narrator is like very unreliable, and it's, you don't know what's real and what's not, and it gets very, very weird and spooky.
Wait, back it
great.
up. They explode bunnies into boys who can explode?
Yeah, the boys can explode too. So they like stand in a circle and they like do some weird magic shit, and then the rabbit that's in the middle explodes.
Yeah.
And then a boy comes in, and then the boy can explode if you ask him the wrong thing or like you try to like sleep with him. And they none
So
of them
a
have
real
hands.
boy.
Wait, so
Yeah.
so are you saying the rabbit exploding creates a boy like in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but like not the rabbit part?
Like, yeah.
Like they make somebody, but they have to keep trying.
They have to
like
keep
make
trying
the perfect
because-
one.
Yeah, because none of them like have a penis that works, and that's what they want, is a working penis.
Why don't they just go
For-
find a real boy?
Let me
Don't know.
What's the reason for them needing this appendage?
They just want to create a boy that they can sleep with. They're all messed up
I
and
think
they're
that's the
on
Rocky
some
Horror
weird
Picture
drugs.
Show. Yeah.
Anyway, it was very, very weird.
That sounds like an adventure.
I don't know if I recommend it. I
think I need to read it.
I think it's only for a select group of people.
Yeah, it sounds great. That randomly reminded me of a book that I started but abandoned that has nothing to do with that.
What book?
The Breast.
Oh, I remember you telling me about that book.
It's basically, I never remember if, I think it's like a play off the Metamorphosis.
I love the Metamorphosis.
So it's a play off that because this guy is just chilling and he loves his girlfriend's boobs. Loves them. And then one day he wakes up as one boob. He's just a boob. But he's not attached to anything. He's just a boob. And he doesn't have eyes or anything, but he can hear, but he doesn't know why he can hear because he has no ears. And then like I think at one point like he's in a hospital because they're like, what do we do? He's a boob. And his girlfriend comes in and like tries to have sex with him on his nipple.
Oh.
That's what I
Wait,
stopped
how big
reading.
of a breast is he?
I think he's like a human-sized boob, like a man-sized boob.
Well, I would need to read to the end to find out if he became a human again.
Well, you know, the whole nipple sex I stopped reading. It was just too
Was
much.
it prolonged?
It was quite
Like, I want to read this.
Like it was a chunky part of the book.
Is this written by a man?
Probably.
I'm gonna.
I mean,
I feel like with this type of story, that's the only way it would make sense.
I'm gonna just go get us all a copy and we can read that.
So that's an episode. Honestly, I feel like that can't be
Absolutely.
too long of a read.
Oh, it's not. It's pretty short, but even
Is
still,
it a short story or a novella, or is it a novel?
honestly, I've blocked most of it out of my brain. I'm not sure.
Is it a graphic novel?
Maybe that's your job
That
to
would
do
be
that.
extra weird
Oh
and
my
gross and
goodness.
funny.
Oh, anyway, that was that.
Amazing. So I think we're gonna start off by talking about the book that we all read.
Almost all read.
Almost all read.
Read almost to the
Throwing
end.
shade at you, girlfriend.
I almost finished it,
No,
but
I'm
you know,
just
up
kidding.
until the point where I'm at right now, I am really enjoying it. It is like kind of a good spooky read. Not what I thought it was going to be about.
Oh,
Me
wait.
neither.
We need what's the back of the book synopsis? Make one up.
None of us have the book in front of us, but the
Yeah,
I don't
synopsis-
have the back of the book because I took the dust cover off.
All right.
Basically, it's just some people. This kid has a weird uncle.
Well, it starts out with a man kind of retelling his childhood events. And he's now he doesn't even refer to himself as a very successful brain surgeon, but he is.
You can assume, yeah.
He does brain things. But he kind of just talks about how his childhood was. He did have an uncle who was very into,
The occult.
yeah,
Yeah, just everything spooky.
everything spooky. The mysterious
love.
phenomena.
Yeah.
He has a store called the Occultorium.
I find that word very difficult to say.
Yeah, that's the first time I said it out loud, and I wasn't confident.
Good for you.
And they go on adventures, and it's like he was a child when his uncle was like, let's go check out these ghostly sites, and then he makes a few friends along the way, and it's kind of like a Stand By Me kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I have that written down here, literally Stand By Me, or like The Body by Stephen King, which is what Stand By Me is based off of.
Yeah.
Oh, like I
It's one of
haven't
my favorite
read
movies.
either of them, but like I just know.
It's
I
like
just felt it.
the same vibe, except that Saturday Night Ghost Club is like half adult.
Oh yeah, and it's
Yeah.
totally like it was like a 70s 80s like throwback kind of thing, like almost kind of like a Stranger Things vibe. Yeah, so if you're into that, that's what this is kind of about.
And it's Canadian. It's set near Niagara Falls. And when he gets older, he lives in Toronto, which is great. Love Canadian fiction. It's also, I found it very interesting. Like the main theme of the novel was like memory and nostalgia and the way you remember things, especially, I don't think Rachel got to this part, but the end with the uncle talking about memory.
That's kind of a spoiler.
What if
don't
I,
think we
plug
should.
my ears? No, I'm just kidding.
Like, are we going to go into
I feel like that kind of gives it away.
I don't
I
know.
don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't think that gives anything away.
It's a little
Memory.
dangerous.
Well, see, that just makes me want to go read it.
It opens with a quote about memory as well, and you don't really know how that's relevant until the very end. And you
I
just-
don't know.
I
I'm
don't
halfway.
think so.
I'm 70% of the way through, and I know like something happened.
The whole thing is about memory, though. Like, even if you don't talk about the ending, the whole thing is about Jake as an adult remembering his youth and the way he remembers it.
Oh, I guess.
And he oftentimes
Yeah.
mentions how his memory is not necessarily accurate, but
Yeah.
it's his memory. Things like how he thought that his uncle was a ginormous tall man, but he's not that big. And just things like how he would be so scared about monsters then, but now he thinks it's funny. Like things that just like they change over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting, like, coming of age story. I feel like it was very different from a lot of coming of age stories that I remembered. Although near the end, like, still Jake's point of view, it was reminding me of Perks of Being a Wallflower. It just like gave me that same vibe, and then I got a little emotional. It was beautiful. And
I will say from like this, like the second chapter, like that book was just kind of a depressing backdrop of my week for me.
yeah,
I will say it was not like it's very unhappy of a read. Like up until that, like it kind of gives you like something nice later on, but the whole way through you're like, wow, this is sad. And I was sad.
yeah, it was pretty depressing, and the writing style was really nice. I liked that. I thought the pacing was a little bit weird. That was like my only qualm with it, was I felt like for such a short book, the pacing was a little bit up and down. And also there was a little bit of the manic pixie dream girl trope, but not in the worst way.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think it was a punishable offense.
No, I don't think so, but I did pick up on it, but I was like, I'm not too mad at
If
this.
they made a film adaptation, they'd probably really, go all in.
Yeah, they definitely would. Also unrealistic that Dove would have been on medication for like what I assume is bipolar. It wasn't confirmed, but that's kind of how they talked about it. Because back then they would have just passed it off as mood swings.
Yeah.
I don't think they medicated children for mental illness.
I don't think they didn't specify it. I thought it could have been something a little more severe than that. Like I assumed it was something more severe than that if she was going to be medicated in the 70s.
Well, the way they were talking about it sounded like mania and depression. Like the way they said that she was like the sun and she would burn everything up, and like the decision she was making, like when she jumped on the bus and just kind of left, it was definitely like manic.
Oh, okay. I guess like she does make harsh actions, so I could kind of gather when, like, if her mother, thought neurotypical people would not do this, and like it's demonstrated throughout the book, but like she doesn't do anything like too severe by any means
Because she's medicated, and that's not the main storyline. but
Backdrop.
yeah.
Well, I'm excited to finish this book. Let me tell you that.
You're definitely like right before like the climax.
Oh, I can feel it. And I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well,
It was a really good read, but it's kind of the type of book that I don't think is great for like a book club pick because I don't have a ton to say about it.
yeah.
Like it was good and it was
wasn't
sad.
very long, but
Yeah.
it was like the perfect length for like, you know, just kind of get a book done in your free time sort of thing.
yeah.
I would say with its shortness, like it's not a heavy read, it's a light read, but it's vivid enough to be almost considered a heavy read because it's depressing and graphic and gross, but in a really nice way.
Yeah.
It's very
In
charming.
a beautiful, gross, charming way.
Yeah,
it
I
talks about a
agree.
lot of it's educated about a lot of things I didn't know. In fact, I feel like I want to fact check some of these things because I can't believe it. Like the stuff about how the human brain behaves in surgery. I thought that was like really
Oh,
cool.
that was so fascinating when he was talking about like being a brain surgeon. Like I learned a lot about the brain.
My
Yeah.
stomach churned, but I was still interested.
Yeah.
I didn't know the brain was like goop.
I know.
Like I
Yeah.
thought it was like a solid organ.
yeah.
That kind of had me a little shook.
I just don't like to think about that too much.
Yeah, it kind of makes my brain hurt.
Yeah. Your
It
brain
makes me
goop
afraid
sore.
for it, and like just like I really felt the stress of performing such delicate surgeries. I was like, the way it was described, I was like, this could only be written by a brain surgeon or
Yeah.
with having researched all of this stuff. It was very interesting. It wasn't like when you're given backstory that's kind of like his flash forwards, they're kind of unrelated to the rest of this backstory you're being given because they're like distanced. But a lot of that extra description was much appreciated.
Yeah, I also learned that the author, Craig Davidson, writes under an alias of Nick Cutter, and he writes the most like gruesome, horrifying horror novels. And he like wrote under his real name so he could write like something that was still spooky but like very, very different and
I
like more
believe
like
it.
nostalgic. And I kind of want to read one of his like intense horror
Me
novels.
too.
Yeah.
That
'Cause
sounds great.
His writing style was very beautiful. I was reading it like on the Libby app, and there were so many quotes that I was highlighting.
Yeah.
It was real good.
Yeah, lots of good, like quotable dialogue in there too.
Yeah.
Especially like about like parents, like that sort of
Yeah.
comes to light, and what you mentioned earlier, the semi spoiler.
I'm unspoiled.
Yeah, I didn't think I gave too much away.
I definitely don't think like this is definitely not a like we'll just spoil it and you don't have to read it. You have to read it.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
You have to
reading
go
it.
through it.
It's happening. Now, one thing I just want to kind of, maybe I'm jumping the gun a little, but with the movie that I watched for Spooky Movie, I thought it was really strange because in the movie I watched, it referenced something I'd never heard of. And in the book we read, it also referenced that exact same event.
Whoa.
And I was like, what? So, do you remember them discussing the Philadelphia experiment?
Yeah.
So I have Wikipedia open right now because I was like, whoa, I didn't know this was a real thing. So for those of you who don't know, the Philadelphia experiment is an alleged military experiment supposed to have been carried out by the U.S. Navy at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in Philadelphia. Sometimes around, it was in October 28th, close to Halloween, in 1943. Basically, the USS Eldridge was claimed to have been rendered invisible or cloaked, which is what they were trying to do to just kind of make themselves untraceable in war. And then basically it ended up being, some people say it's like transported. Some people say it showed up elsewhere, nowhere near, in a very short period of time. So, anyway, it's spooky, and it's has to be said that some of the men on the crew were then fused to the ship after it had allegedly transported. So some of them were fine, some of them were severely disturbed, some of them died, and the rest of them were literally fused into the ship.
That's crazy.
That can't just happen.
It's alleged, though. No one can prove it. But in the spooky movie I watched, they talked about the exact same thing and had pictures of these men stuck.
Whoa.
And that was supposed to be that Russia was supposed to be hiding these secrets because they apparently had something to do with it.
I mean, I think this is a good transition. I think you should just go straight into talking about your spooky movie.
Yeah, because I want to find out how this relates to your movie.
Go
It
for
doesn't.
it.
That's the dumb part because the movie I watched was not good.
Okay, what did you watch?
Whitney may have seen it before. It's The Devil's Pass,
No.
I don't know.
based on the, hold on, hikers.
The Dialotov
Yep.
Pass? Oh.
But
I didn't know there was a movie.
it's not a documentary style. It
Okay.
is a horror movie based on it.
Oh, I've heard of it. I
It's not
have heard
good.
of it, I think.
It's not good. Don't like.
That's sad.
I mean, like, watch it if you want, but like,
I
it's.
want to know more.
So basically, to give a little bit of a background with the Dialotov Pass, there was a group of scientists in, I think it was the 40s?
1959.
59, who went hiking in Russia. I forget why they had wanted to go hiking there, if there had been some bizarre situations there before. But basically, these people went hiking, and it wasn't just a cash hike. Like, it was like treacherous mountain, like
Yeah.
middle of winter, like ultimate Russia experience. They went hiking here to gather some sort of scientific information. And then at some point they were discovered naked outside their tents. Some of them were like skulls crushed. Some of them had been like bruised in different areas, but not, and like some zero explanation for what happened, and others had like high radiation.
Yeah, and one of them
Traces?
had their eyes removed and one had their tongue removed.
So in the movie, there's a million different, this is a true story. That part true happened. No one knows why. To date, no one's been able to actually explain what happened. Now, in this movie that I watched, it's present day, and this crazy girl in university is like, let's go and do it again and see if we can do what they did.
Oh my god, not one of these.
She's supposed to be pretty smart, but anyway, they all go and they're all doing
That
their
actually did happen.
thing.
Somebody did do that, yeah, to report on it and come up with theories. I forget her name. But
God, maybe
obviously, I
this-
don't think the same outcome.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize this is okay. Cool. So anyway, so they're hiking, and things are getting spooky. They get up to one like transmitting tower of a radio signal there, and there's a tongue in it, like the guy who had his tongue removed.
They're serious.
And then you're like, ooh, and then they get up, and anyway, they get to the actual Dialotov Pass, and they're like, this is here. Let's camp here. This is where the people were murdered or whatever. So they're camping, and then at one point there's like sex. People are all off doing this, classic movie stuff. And she's like, I want to go around and try to find radiation. So she has her little,
Of course she does. She's like, I want to die.
and she finds this door on the side of a mountain. So she's like, let's dig it out. And then they're like, we can't open it. And we don't want to tell the other people because they're already scared and already mad at me.
All right.
So, and like, they're all like scared, like the Yeti monster is going to come get them. Like, they're grown people anyway. And then basically the next morning, there's a spooky, spontaneous avalanche. And so anyway, this crazy avalanche happens and somebody ends up dying. Someone gets super injured. I'm not even worrying about spoiling for this because just don't watch it.
Okay, I'll forget.
It's not. Anyway, and then they're trying to like save their friend who's like severely injured. And then these guys come hiking up the hill and they're like, oh, guys, help. Like, he's injured and our friend's dead. And they come over and the guy's like, wait, they don't have any hiking packs. They're Soviet military, and then they come up and they start shooting at them because they're like, they caused the avalanche. Like, they're trying to kill us. Like, there's a secret that we're not supposed to find out here. So they run up into this door, which they have yet to open, and they go in, and it's like a freaking cave. Like, there's no light. And there's 3 of them, 1 injured and 2 are just like, ugh. And then they end up finding a power switch and realize it's this whole underground Soviet place. And then they find about the Philadelphia experiment, and they're like, this is where they're hiding the things about the transportation and the teleportation. And then out of nowhere, these creepy monster things come out, and it's totally jump scare. And it's all about, they're supposed to be the crew members who were like distorted in teleportation, and they just start killing people.
That's
and
lame.
then they're running, and then they find this, like, there is like this like black hole teleportation thing. And they're like, oh, this is our only way out, because there's scary monsters on one side and like scary Soviet military outside. And then as they're like, well, let's just look around a little bit longer. Maybe there's something else. And they start finding like dead military people. And it's like, this is like scary stuff. And then they found out that this entire plant is run on radiation, like radioactive electricity. So that's why like one of the guys who had been found had such high radiation levels, because he was in there too. Anyway, at the end, they're like, let's just jump in this teleportation place. And what we're going to think of is the last place in our memory that's so fresh, and that's where it's going to take us. It's like right before he came in here. So they jump through and die, and they end up outside dead with like high radiation. And then and then these other hikers are coming up, and they're like, oh my God, dead people. And then the Soviet like military is like, there's nothing to see here, and then kick them out. And then
Oh my God.
they turn into the scary people that like were in the inside.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, this is the biggest waste of my time ever.
I could picture like all of that clear as day, but how dare they disrespect the memory of these real people that died in a mysterious fashion with such a mediocre film.
I know.
That's rude.
An insulting film.
I'm just shook. Like, do people really, is that the conspiracy? Is that?
That's like
It's kind of a stretch.
awful. That's like as bad as the staircase theory with the owl. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
The staircase.
Well,
We
yeah,
watched the
but
first half of it.
what about the owl?
There's a theory that like the way the woman died was an owl like flew in the window and scared her, and then she fell down the stairs. And that's the theory.
That's
even though,
possible, but there
no,
was nothing.
stupid.
Nobody mentioned it. That could happen in real life, but it was not. It didn't seem like a possibility.
Well, we didn't finish the documentary, but apparently that's like what they talk about in the last few episodes,
Oh
and that's like
my
what they go
gosh.
with when it's obvious that like she be murdered.
Do you know the little video meme thing of the owl on the Swiffer, and he's trying to get him out of the kitchen?
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
That's exactly what happened, and then she
Yeah,
fell
that's what I
down the
thought.
stairs.
She was just like, oh, it's on my Swiffer. Oh, no, I fell.
Well, your movie, it just sounded like you took two like conspiracy theory stories and mashed them together to make them make sense somehow, and it didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
It just
sounds
like they used a random generator to like match the two, and they're like, let's make a story that's those two together.
I mean, it makes me want to go to the Dialotov Pass.
I mean, same.
I don't, but I'd like to hear about somebody going there, though.
I'll tell you when I get back.
Okay.
All right. I mean, I'll go with you, but all right.
Okay. Whitney, what is your spooky movie?
Okay.
I need to know.
picked a random movie off of Netflix because I wasn't sure what to watch. And the movie I picked is I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, which came out in 2016. Have either of you seen it?
No, that is not, in fact, the movie that I was watching, supposedly similar.
I was like worried that Gabe and I watched the same movie because he messaged me and said that his movie had similar vibes to The Kindergarten Teacher and Parasite. And when I started watching mine, this movie had very similar vibes to that as well. So the Netflix synopsis is a nervous nurse who scares easily finds herself caring for an ailing horror novelist while living in a house with many secrets. So this movie started off very, very beautiful. It starts off with this like incredible poetic narration, these like beautiful images. It's just like stunning when it first starts out. And there's a part like at like the 5-minute mark where there's like this beautiful like poem of narration essentially describing her life. And then it like zooms in on her face and she looks straight at the camera and she goes, I am Lily Saylor. I am a hospice nurse. 3 days ago, I turned 28 years old. I will never turn 29. And that was just like, oh, and then like she looks away from the camera and just like the movie starts. And it was like a very beautiful way to start the movie.
That's kind of frightening.
Yeah, it was very scary.
Unsettling.
I'm going to say that on my next birthday.
Dark.
No. So nothing happened in this movie after that, though.
How is that even remotely similar to my movie? That's my question.
Well, it gave me those vibes because she seemed like, so it gave me Parasite vibes because she was like moving into this house with this woman, and like she seemed very creepy at first, and she seemed to have some weird vibes, and I was very concerned. And she became like obsessed with this horror novelist and was like reading her books and stuff, and I was like, okay, I could see how Gabe could make that connection.
Okay.
So that's
yeah, I get it.
It gave me those vibes at the beginning. This movie made me feel very claustrophobic. Like, it made me feel like I was locked in the house. It was extremely atmospheric, which I liked. However, after I finished the movie, I was like scrolling through the Letterboxd reviews, and someone said that this film has the same amount of context as like a short film, but they made the main character do everything in slow motion to make it an hour and a half, and that's exactly what happened. literally did everything in slow motion, and there were parts where it would like freeze, and it would just be like a still picture moving across the screen with like narration. She was talking at like 0.5 speed.
That's how I feel about Dogville. Continue.
Wait, I need, that is a choice. I need to see it.
It was so slow. It also, though, okay, I wrote in my notes here 20 minutes of substance, which is accurate. There was nothing. But
like, was there talking, or were you just watching things happen?
There was very little dialogue. You were kind of just watching things happen, and it would be like, it was very weird because it would have those moments of like slow, still pictures of slow, beautiful narration, and then all of a sudden she would be like on the phone with her friend, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're such a slut," and it was really weird. And she was like, "Answer the phone, you whore." And like shit like that.
Why?
I don't know. And she's like, "Are you with your boyfriend? Oh my God, you're such a slut." And then there'd be like banging in the back, and she's like, "Oh my God, you whore, I'm scared." What? It was weird. It was so weird. And it was supposed to be serious. It was a very strange movie. I fell asleep twice trying to watch this, and I had to keep rewinding.
Hold on. Wait a minute. I have a really ultimate question for you on this one. We were supposed to watch a spooky movie. How is this spooky?
It was spooky. It was about ghosts. There were ghosts in it.
Oh, okay.
And on Netflix, this was listed under horror movies. So
It's a horror movie, slut.
yeah. So it was. There were ghosts. It was trying to be spooky. It was atmospheric.
Wait, were the ghosts?
I just imagined a
sluts?
drama.
No, it was supposed to be spooky. It had a lot of references to the yellow wallpaper, which is one of my favorite pieces of fiction, like literally ever. Like Miss Bloom, who is the author that she's taking care of, her bedroom has like this horrific yellow patterned wallpaper, which is very similar to what is in the book. She's like, the nurse is like obsessed with this mold that keeps appearing on the walls. Like it's very wall centric. And then the one of the most famous books that Miss Bloom publishes was called The Lady in the Walls. Like everything is about the walls. It was very like obviously like this is supposed to be the yellow wallpaper, except nothing happens. Yeah, I mean it was pretty, but it was boring. Like I much prefer like characters to atmosphere. I mean they're both important, but there were like no characters. It was just narration and everything in slow motion.
Well,
That's what I watched.
I want to watch it.
Well, you should, but you might fall asleep.
Yeah,
I don't think I'd really recommend
maybe
it.
I'll go to sleep to it tonight.
Good plan.
Now, my movie is completely different, even though I thought our movies were going to be the same. And I was really interested to like find a film similar to this one. But I definitely don't think that's the answer. But you'll probably feel these like Parasite and kindergarten teacher vibes, but in a different way. So, that's kind of like within. So for the first half hour of this movie, I did think it was going to be The Kindergarten Teacher plus Parasite. That was the first two films that came to mind. However, it later turned in, like I realized this is more like the opposite of Changeling, which we just talked about in a previous episode. And this is really the opposite situation. So a mother grieving the loss of her daughter encounters a young girl that has her questioning whether her daughter really died years ago. So she latches onto this family who are selling their house to learn more about this girl, and allows her son to befriend this family and their children so she can spend time with this young girl. And she starts to love her like her own daughter until her obsession with this family continues to escalate.
Oh my God, this sounds so good. What is it?
So I had to I was so uncomfortable throughout. Like I had to pause because I couldn't handle the secondhand embarrassment and discomfort. This is a film called Angel of Mine from 2019. It's directed by Kim Tarrant, and it's starring Noomi Rapace and Yvonne Strahovski, the one and only, who's also in The Handmaid's Tale.
Yvonne Strahovski.
Yeah, that one, Miranda from Mass Effect. She was in this film as like one of the main characters.
Miranda, so, I need to see this even more.
When I said that I selected this film in a very random way, I was watching The Handmaid's Tale and I was like, well, I haven't checked out what movies Yvonne Strahovski's been in lately. What's she got? And this one was not getting panned by critics. So it was like, okay, well, I'll check it out.
Wait, who does she play? Does she play the one who's obsessed or the mother of the girl?
The mother of the girl. That's her character. And Noomi Rapace is the obsessed mother.
Oh, I need to watch this right now.
They're acting in that movie. That's really the only thing that kind of keeps it above water all the way to the end. The cinematography is beautiful. The casting is very interesting. There are plenty of accents to be heard. Because you've got, it's set in Australia, but there's you have a Swedish main character, and then there's an English grandfather, and okay, they really could have just casted anybody in this film.
That is
no matter where they came from.
Some white people multiculturalism.
Yes, it was very Caucasian. It was so Caucasian.
But they made sure to hit all the Caucasian points.
Unless I'm forgetting something, I really do think it was very Caucasian. The thing is, the movie was so good and emotionally gripping the whole way through. It's just the ending, it just totally lands with a thud, sadly, at least to me. It could have really had a powerful message or something to think about at the end, about empathy or motherhood, but it kind of just abandons ship on everything that it kind of builds up to. And you're just wait, really? Hello? What? The movie, tries to do something clever, but you just kind of feel it was just ha, ha. That's what the end does. It's we're just joshing ya, and I'm like, what? I was taking this seriously, guys. Come on.
I mean, to be fair, on a total different note here, has anyone ever actually watched a spooky / horror movie that was good? Because I've never.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love horror movies, and I feel there's a lot of good ones.
I've never seen one that I was yes, that scared me, and not
I will say that the movie poster for Angel of Mine, especially the title as well, made it seem like it was going to be a lot spookier than it actually ended up being, but it was still really uncomfortable and ominous, and it had the soundtrack that goes wah.
I feel the ones that really get me are the ones that are psychological.
This is so psychological. I felt a lot.
I will never recover from Mother and Hereditary.
Those are up there for me.
Those are scary as hell. They're the worst ones, especially Mother. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Well, maybe I just don't watch the right horrors. Mine always end up
haven't you seen Scream? That is iconic.
No.
You've never seen Scream?
I actually haven't.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's so good.
I bet it's good.
Young Drew Barrymore.
My problem is my view. Oh yeah.
I feel I've seen The Ring when I was too young.
My view on a lot of horror was when we were growing up, people would be I watched Saw. I watched Saw 2.
Oh, well, that's just gore.
And I'm Yeah.
You know what? Saw 1 was not just gore. Did I watch that with you?
No, I've never seen it.
Did we watch
watched
Saw
it
with Brandon?
Oh, I was not present
watched it with
mentally
you.
if that was what happened.
Well, Saw was like, I was surprised because I know that like Saw 2 and onward are like super gory and just kind of like recycling, but Saw 1, I was like, this is a mystery. This is a mystery thriller.
Saw 1 was really good.
Like it was like a true crime dramatization or something. And I was like, I really thought this was just going to be like, you know, torturous to watch, but in fact it was really about like, you know, the detectives back and forth trying to find these missing people. And I'm like, oh
yeah, and the plot twist at the end, that's like one of the best.
oh yes, that was crazy. I mean, like it did totally like set the, you know, expectation there was going to be a second one, but
yeah, the rest I think are solely just gore.
I mean, Silence of the Lambs did a similar thing at the end.
Okay, I do love
Oh,
Silence
yeah,
of the
Silence
That's a
Lambs.
of the
scary
Lambs is so
movie. Why didn't I
good.
watch
Yeah.
that again?
I don't know. Put the lotion in the basket.
I was gonna watch Midsummer,
Oh,
but I didn't. But I want to.
I
There's
want
still
to, but I
time.
don't know if I physically can.
I know. I've heard some.
I might
some
not be the
spooky
same
things.
after watching it.
I know. I just love movies that like destroy me.
Yeah, Bridesmaids destroyed me.
I hate that movie.
Well, it's not
You
even that
don't-
good,
you
but I
get
related.
angrier at Bridesmaids the more years that go by.
I do.
You're like, it was okay, and it wasn't that special. Oh, and now I hate it. It's terrible.
Like I hated it, and then you made me watch it again, and I was like, all right, it's fine. But the more I think about it, the more it just like makes me upset.
I had like a midlife crisis when I watched that.
Yeah, that's like what makes that movie so hard hitting for me.
Like at the end, you're supposed to be like, ah, and I was like,
That's how I felt about Step Brothers. That
I
movie
love
made
that
me
movie.
sob.
Step Brothers is also, I would say, a very like they those two belong together. They're
Like-
similar.
That movie like broke my heart. That was an orange juice bottle falling on the floor because Gabe can't stop kicking the table. You have to leave that in.
Okay.
But yeah, Step Brothers made me cry because they just grew up and it was sad and I hated it.
I know. Yeah.
Anyway.
Why do you need bunk beds? There's more room for activities.
Oh, I need
I
to see
feel
it
that
again.
in my soul.
The Catalina wine mixer.
Oh my gosh, for a future, we should keep doing this where we like pick a genre of movie and we all have to watch a movie in that genre and then talk about it. Because this was really fun.
Can Will Ferrell be a genre, please?
Yes.
Yeah.
We can just pick a movie from his whole.
Not just a movie. What about Can I Have for beer?
Isn't that
What's
just
that?
isn't that just a 20-second video?
It's like a 4-minute video.
Okay, we're not going to do a whole episode where you only get to watch a 4-minute video.
I'm sorry, but I have a
me
lot to
and-
say about it.
And me and Whitney have to watch a 90-minute film of Will Ferrell. That's not fair.
Okay, plus Blades of Glory.
I don't think I've seen Blades of Glory.
What?
You haven't seen Scream.
What? Yeah, I know.
Anyway, have we all said everything we want to say about our horror movies?
I think so. Mine was a thriller. Was it everyone's a thriller? No, yours was like just
No.
Mine was a disappointment.
Mine was like a university thesis project and someone was trying too hard to be pretentious.
Mine was a really, really good Lifetime movie.
Love it. Whitney, do you have some
Okay.
questions for us?
Yes. This is my favorite part where I get to ask Rachel and Gabe a question that I've prepared they don't know about. And we're going to get kind of weird right now. Okay, if you guys could replace all of the grass in the world with something else, what would you pick?
Oh, I love this. AstroTurf? No, I'm kidding. Ooh.
That would be such a sad world.
Like, are there still bugs living in it? Like, am I ruining? Like
no,
the
no,
world-
no, 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 no. All bugs live happy lives in mason jars.
Okay. Okay. I'm really overthinking this because, like, part of me wants the same like sensation of grass, so like shag carpet. But like,
Ew, but
imagine cleaning that.
dogs have to poop in it still.
Okay, gross. Dirt? Can I just put dirt down?
Is anything else unaffected by this change? Like,
Nothing's affected.
like,
But it still gets
anthills will
used
still be there.
like a ground, right?
Like
Grass, I mean.
I didn't think about this enough. Yeah, it's still like grass, but it's not grass. It's something different.
Okay.
Like it's a pile of staplers.
I don't like that. Imagine picking dog poop off a pile of staplers.
I'm gonna go with used needles.
Oh,
so inner city ground.
So just Times Square.
Oh, easy. It's easy now. I pick like a ball pit. Balls full of ball pits. Balls pits.
wow, that
They're
sounds
so dirty.
like endless sinking.
I
But I'm
know. Well, I
ready.
don't like not like 5 feet of them.
I'm gonna replace it all with quicksand. Did anyone else think that they were gonna encounter quicksand a lot more often in their adult life when they were
Yeah.
kids?
at least like once a year.
I thought it was gonna be a big concern.
Yeah, I feel like I had nightmares about it a lot.
Yeah, and I've never encountered quicksand.
Gabe, what do you choose for the ground?
I think this is really specific, but I think it would be perfect, especially if you go to like just a, like don't think of like a soccer field where everyone goes, but think of like a grassy hill in the middle
But
of
it's
nature
all
where,
grass.
where it's untouched.
So it's soccer fields too.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter on soccer
Imagine
fields.
ball pit grass in a soccer game.
Yeah, it's a
They just
little-
really screwed them
so
over.
They would have to switch to AstroTurf permanently. But what I would pick, so like just in the event you're just with a pristine, land covered in grass. Blades, just envision a blade of grass, but instead of it being grass, it's the same shape. They're just like white chocolate flakes. So if you're hungry, you can just, bend down and just grab a bunch, and it's like you're having like
But
Terry's
dogs
chocolate
are
oranges.
pooping. And dogs can't eat that.
Wait, it's not real chocolate though, so yeah, they can.
Well, but I want it to be like edible for humans if they so choose.
You would solve the world's hunger. Wait,
The
I'm gonna
obesity
replace
problem
it with
would be bad.
like Soylent. Cups of Soylent so
Oh.
everyone can eat.
I guess
Whoa.
mine was more of like a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory fantasy.
Well, I kind of update my ball request to a bunch of troll dolls. So you can have like the hair and all the pretty colors. And it'd be soft except for when you
That'd
step
be
on
lit.
the not hair part and it's
Their
plastic.
jewel belly buttons.
Yes.
What about
troll.
Lego?
Oh,
Lego bricks.
that's what hell is.
It would make sure all people would wear shoes. Like, those few people who just think it's okay not to wear shoes.
Yeah.
They would start wearing
You
shoes.
kind of just feel like walking on a rocky beach.
What do you think, Puddles? Temptations cat treats?
Agreed.
Oh, what about like sourdough bread dough?
Just the dough though, not
Just the
cooked?
dough.
That's quicksand.
Like I really want to make
Yeah.
sourdough, so I could just go outside and get some sourdough and then just cook it,
True.
How
or
about
like any kind of bread
What
dough.
What if the ground was just like this isn't possible, but like just a trampoline? Like
That would be so
it
fun.
was just
Why didn't we say
bouncy
that?
So inaccessible, but so fun.
Yeah.
and impossible.
You'd never hurt yourself falling. You just never stop falling. You just keep bouncing in your fall.
What if you replace all the grass with like nothing? Like it's just empty down to the earth's core.
Then we die.
Just don't walk on the grass.
That's just no planet existing.
The apocalypse.
Well, I want to replace the grass with Hershey's Kisses and the oceans with cream soda.
Ew.
I don't endorse that.
That just sounds like a bad dental experience.
Okay, fine, Dr. Pepper, because he's a doctor.
Toothbrush bristles.
Okay, I can be good. That, you know how nice your feet would be?
Yeah.
Oh, your feet would be so soft. Have you seen those toothbrushes that are like a million bristles? Like literally?
No.
And they're like so packed together, and apparently it's so soft. I really want one.
How much are they? That's a lot of
I
bristles.
don't know.
I
Like
just-
$1 per
I
bristle.
just imagine that would be like brushing your teeth with a dog's fur.
Ew. Whitney wants
I
that.
want that.
I like having I like getting my teeth scraped. Like that's the important
yeah.
part. I feel like you can't do that with
Do you just
dog
use
fur.
like a paint scraper?
No.
Ew, I just pictured you shaving your teeth.
Ew. Have you seen that gif that's like the toothbrush is the teeth and the teeth are the toothbrush bristles?
No.
Oh my god, it's awful.
No.
That's delicious.
Well, no mercy.
I think this episode was like pure chaos.
Yeah, this is not enjoyable, I don't think, to listen to. I wouldn't want to hear this back.
Rachel is laying in bed.
It's late. I have been driving all day. No, I only drove for like an hour. I have no excuse. On that note, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Blanket Fort Books. My name is Rachel, and you can reach me at Abrams Records on Twitter.
My name is Whitney, and I am at Wit and Wisdoms on Twitter, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, please.
And I am Gabe, and you can find me on Twitter at BoardSeed.
And our official Twitter is at Blanket Fort Book.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much. If you have any ideas for future episodes or questions or things you want us to touch on, do let us know because we are gonna run out of ideas.
Rude.
Okay, bye.
Bye.